don't have positions, I guess I would say, on who should be on the board or not. So the idea of districting, I've been asked to ask this commission. So we bring the petition to you guys. There's I believe it's a 60-day period of public information that has to go on before you guys can pass the resolution to adopt the district. During that time, someone will start a petition against it. And the rule says if 25% of the potential members sign that petition, the county may not pass the ordinance. You may not adopt the Snowshoe Resort Area District for at least a period of 1 year. So there are approximately 2,600 properties on that mountain. So if you had signatures representing 25% of those 2,600, so what is that? 600? 600,
1,300, 650.
650, thank you.
25.
So if you had signatures representing 650 of those properties, it becomes a moot point. You're not allowed to pass this.
That's for 1 year? Meaning
For at least 1 year.
petitioner could bring it up again in a year.
Yeah.
Snowshoe or
Exactly.
anywhere else. You want
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, what I've been asked is, can the county amend the petition? Specifically, I've been asked that on the districting concept of homeowner representatives. I have not yet asked our attorney, only because I haven't met with them since then, as to whether or not you're allowed. I don't know what my understanding of the law is that you may adopt the, or if it's a resolution ordinance, you may create the district. If
As presented by the petition.
Yes. It doesn't say or amend, but it doesn't say you cannot amend. The law states, the way the law is written, that first election is going to have to be at large right now, because there are no provisions to allow me, the petitioner, to decide how to further manipulate that election process beyond what the law says. And it just says there are 3 to be elected by homeowners, right? Top 3 vote getters. Everybody gets 3 votes. Top 3 vote getters get those seats. Do you have the authority to then say, well, we will allow this district to happen, but we want the first, election to be, divided into districts? I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I think that I'd be willing to provide the information to your attorney to review that concept. And I will bring it to mine to understand. I don't know if you have that ability. If you have that ability, I expect you will be asked by some homeowners here at the resort to do that. And it certainly was not my intent to put you in that position of having to make that decision, but you would be possibly asked to do that. And if you are asked to do that, I will be happy to provide whatever information you need to make your decision. Obviously, the people who want that to happen, I keep referring back. I believe Ira wants that to happen, right? So I'll be happy to, obviously they'll provide whatever, and I'll, very openly help you guys to make that decision if you're allowed to make that decision. And to figure out how those districts would be created or whatnot. I again have tried to remain steadfastly neutral on the issue to this point, because I want the owners. I'd rather see an owner stand up and say, this is what I believe, than have me do it, because again, owner decision. And I believe the district can work either way. That, I guess, is my point. So I'd rather see the owners make their own decision on that. So that's the process of what's going on here. I believe I've hit the important points and brought us up to speed. So I would kind of turn it to you guys for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ferry. That was a very good description of what all you've been working on. And in the recent past, you and I have met individually to talk about this together, and I believe you've met with the other commissioners individually as well to apprise us. That was just one.
I do want you guys to hear that Snowshoe's doing something that involves the county, you know, so.
Yeah.
Yes, I brought it to you.
I've made just a few notes here just for clarification, probably. You stated, for example, the resort service fee, the user-generated fee. You estimate at 2% could generate $500,000 in the first year?
Yeah.
I haven't studied the legislation extensively, but I think that there's the provision to have a maximum fee of 5%.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I use 2 because I think one of the roles the resort will play in this, in determining resort service fees, will be our understanding of how much we think we can competitively bear. The owners really should, property owners should want that fee to be as high as it can be, because it really, you know, it's the resort and the businesses that will bear the burden of being able to collect that fee and pass it on. So the more money, the merrier. With that said, there becomes a point that creates competitive disadvantage that could actually drive people away from snow, just like any tax or fee, right? It gets too high, it becomes a deterrent. So it's been my position, and the petition will say that we believe we'll use a 2% fee because I believe we can competitively bear that. And if it turns out we can increase it, you know, we'll increase it. If we find out that that's burdensome, we would decrease it.
Would that fee increase, I guess that would take a supermajority?
Yes.
That's a resort service fee issue?
Yeah.
So if you did find after a year or 2 years of operation the 2% was working very well and you had headroom to go up to 3% out of the 5 maximum, 6 out of 7 vote from the resort area district
Would be
board
required.
would give you that?
Yes.
The one-time special assessment, I really appreciate you speaking fully about that. That is a concern that's been brought to my attention in talking with Mr. Momp and Mr. Westland and others. Maybe, forgive me gentlemen if I forgot that you told me this, but the supermajority vote of 6 out of 7 required for a special assessment, I didn't recall that. So when you said that today, that sounds encouraging to me. And I want to ask at some point, as we're talking this today, to get some input from Mr. Momp and Mr. Westland. I don't know your name, sir, I'm sorry?
Dave Dragan.
Dave Dragan, Mr. Dragan. Some of their thoughts on the supermajority aspects and things like assessments. But I don't want to ask you that just yet, gentlemen. About the special assessment or the borrowing or bonding in general, when you and I spoke, Mr. DeBerry, over lunch one day about this, I expressed how I thought that there should be some way for Snowshoe to be a city, a municipality, that I thought it was time. And you spoke today of the reasons why that's sort of very hard to achieve, or would be hard to achieve. That maybe the resort area district is a better path forward. In a municipality setting, I'm trying to compare a municipality to this district proposal. And the idea of a special assessment, I have trouble fitting that back into the municipality model. I can see where a municipality can raise taxes. For example, the resort service fee is an example of that. I can't see where, for example, the town of Marmonton would like to build well, let's use a wellness center, which the town of Marmonton wants to build. How could the town of Marmonton have approached funding the wellness center by putting an assessment on the homeowners in Marmonton? Is that a fair comparison? Am I missing something?
It is, and I guess one thing that I did leave out is so a key from a funding mechanism, the key difference between a special district, a resort area district, and a municipality is a resort area district cannot ever levy ad valorem property taxes. So, you know, whereas a municipality and a county has property taxes as its funding, the district has mountaintop assessment funds, special assessments, resort service fees, borrowing, you know, so but there's no ad valorem taxes. So the district can't go out and suddenly say, you know, I'm going to levy 2% of your property and start collecting funds for that.
But a municipality can.
A municipality can.
So this special assessment is a way to compensate for that in a sense. Is that
Yeah, should the need arise, and that's the, you know,
that's the operative phrase in both cases, in a
I think
district
that's
or a
incredibly
municipality.
important.
Should the need arise.
Yeah. I think if we do this right, we minimize the need to have to do a special assessment, right?
Okay.
That's the idea of creating capital reserves.
Okay. I made a note here about law enforcement, the ranger idea that a simple majority of the board, 4 out of 7 votes, to make public safety decisions such as hiring rangers or employees.
Yes, if the supermajority, authorize the creation of the district,
Okay.
authorize the budget to have a district ranger program, yes, a majority right now could actually do that.
But it would require.
So I will state a bylaw position in that is I think that should be a supermajority vote. Right? It was not put into the bylaws that it would take 6 out of 7 to do that.
Okay.
And because we still have the opportunity, I'd like to see when this district is in place, me, a homeowner representative, someone from the commission, the sheriff's office, sitting down and saying, is there a way that we can make this happen without Snowshoe going through and creating a whole new entity, in this district ranger program?
For example, through contracting with our existing law enforcement.
Something along those lines, yeah. And, that would be something that, if we didn't put it in the legislation, we can't do it.
Right.
So, the legislation we did last year, we thought, of it at the time. We made sure it's in there as an opportunity, but, it's still a lot more cumbersome and I would say almost confusing than trying to simply work with the county to provide, deputy coverage up there in a more meaningful way.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad you did put that kind of possibility of district ranger into the legislation, because in 2009, Sue, was it 2009, 2010, when we were talking with Mr. Rock, Bill Rock, the predecessor, about increasing law enforcement there, and Commissioner Saffer, Griffith, and myself, it was the 3 of us.
Yes, I don't remember the year, but I know that we did.
It was earlier on. I'm trying to remember
I have
if it
a
was.
file there if you'd like me to look.
No, that's okay. Most of I was trying to recall who it was, and it was Saffer, Griffith, and me.
Right.
And we made some progress in the concept, but ultimately we didn't go forward with it,
Right.
as I'm sure you're aware. So I think there's possibility there, but it may require more help, and maybe the district ranger idea that you have in the legislation will allow for a possibility of increasing public safety there.
Yeah, we at Snowshoe need to do something better than what's there today, be it through working with the county, the state, or creating this. We've got to increase